talk about that one. There's modifications thereof, like producer price indexes, agricultural indices, all sorts of, anything that's got money to do with, people have written books. On time value of money, there's probably 500 books, some of them.
Well, no, I understand that, but how many of them are really very accurate and how many of them are just somebody's idea?
Somebody's academic idea. You're asking, I'm not an economist. But
No,
the government,
for
for
me.
me,
But I was like,
The government-
what concerns me is how do you fairly,
I'll give you some
Yeah.
input on that. And my suggestions to your recommendations, that for many, many years, Bureau of Reclamation charged, going way back to the origination, 6%. It was I wouldn't say it was arbitrary, it was a governmental decision that regardless of what the inflation was, regardless of what was going on, that was their default time value of money number.
6% per year?
It was a large number.
A huge number.
Well, in 1978, it was a small number.
Yeah, when we were.
But in 2014, it's a huge number, so it just depends
I
on.
mean, if you go back to, I mean, those years, a long, long time ago, I mean, inflation wasn't like that.
Well, we had deflation during the Depression.
Right.
But anyways, they proceeded ahead to charge 6% during the deflation times. I'm just saying that's a basis, that's their basis.
No, but that's.
A smaller basis would be looking at what sort of the minimum growth, GNP, or that we target, and ignoring all those years, that would be about 2%. I think that I've never seen anybody, regardless of the Depression, for time value money using, if you're gonna use an average number spread out over many years, has ever used less than 2%. If they're gonna do it, if you're gonna make the decision to adjust for inflation. And then, you know, this, like I said, going back first, CPI, 6% is gonna give you the largest number by far. CPI is gonna give you someplace closer.
Indexes didn't exist back then.
They have subsequently gone back and calculated it for what they would have been.
I calculated it again.
It's published governmental tables that are used in contractual law and have a basis. The actual number, if you go back and do that, is probably closer to about 4.5 would be the average. So my recommendation would be probably be between 2 and 4%. I can give you what that'll be per acre. And these are approximate because I didn't have a chance to sit with Rose to get the updated for 2014. What was the rate that they said last month?
The rate?
For the acreage?
$25 per acre.
It had been 20, was it right?
Yes, last year was 25 and this year's $25. Yeah.
Did it change?
No, it's like the same.
And yeah, in 2006 it was 32.
2006, $32, correct.
What's 2007?
2007, $32.
2008?
I want to
$30.
mention something.
Let me just finish real quick. 2009?
$20 even.
Wow. 2011?
How about 2010?
Yeah, that would help too.
$20 even also.
Okay.
2011, $21 even.
Okay.
2012, $21 even.
And 25. Okay, now I have the exact numbers. I didn't know we had changed it so much. It's right now going back, assuming the Riverside Canal was built, heading, it was a different canal, and the Chamazal issues and all that. We've used 39 pretty much predominantly for the lower valley. We probably, upper valley probably have to use an earlier number. But from 1939 brought to 2014, taxes that the no interest would be $1,064 an acre, with 4%, it would be 2,000, almost double, $2,156. And I can run any number you guys want me to run.
Let me point something out.
Sure, go on.
If we had assessed these properties in, I'm not sure, I'd have to think it through which year it applies, 96 or 80. I think 96. But it would have, we would have turned around and handed over the collections to the Bureau. The Bureau's not going to, I assume that the Bureau's not going to come in and ask for their share
Because
reconstructively.
those assessments went against the bonds that were
We didn't have any bonds.
96 we did. Prior to that we did.
No, we didn't have any bonds.
Well, how do we pay off the debt to the, our contractual obligations, how about that?
They would send us a bill,
And we'd send them money.
and we would assess the taxes to satisfy their bill.
Yeah, we would have paid the debt off earlier than if we had.
There wasn't any debt, and there wasn't any debt, and there wasn't any bond.
Okay, was there a contractual obligation to repay the government for partial share of the construction?
We owe them a bunch of money, whether you call it a debt or what.
If they charged for construction, yeah. They would just,
On the farm, we call that debt.
until
You owe
19
somebody, it's a debt.
We have all sorts of debts on the
until
farm.
1980, we only had 4 employees. And that was because all we did was wait to get the bills from the Bureau, and then we'd take the bill and portion them out to the landlords. When the money came in, then we forwarded the money to the Bureau. So, our expenses of operation were minuscule. Now, in 1980, in August, when we took over the operations, they skyrocketed. That's when we went from 4 employees overnight to 65 employees. So all I'm saying is, at the moment, I'm befuddled about how you treat taxes that would have originally not been kept in the coffers of the district, but would have gone to the Bureau.
We have, every time we've done the reclassification, engineering has set a notification to reclamation, advising them of that and what
Oh, that's
statutory
great.
language
That's great.
we do it under.
That's just great.
What was the last one we did, what was the charge? 1,000 something?
Well, we haven't done one for quite a while,
We haven't done, exactly.
but it was, I think it was 900 or something.
Yes, sir. I think that's about right.
Well, no, that's 3 years ago.
No, the last one was 5 hours, wasn't it?
You're right.
Anyway, it was, the last one was at no interest,
You know, I'm looking at the statute.
about 900 an acre.
Give us the,
You need to read that? What,
well, it's only 4 lines. I thought 3 lines. I thought you could
let's
stay
take
here.
it.
I wrote the 3 lines there.
Now, see, on the face of it, that doesn't say anything about charging them interest or time value.
But it doesn't say that it doesn't.
No, I know.
And I think everybody understands that $1 in 1939 is not $1 in 2014,
Listen, I remember when the school lunch program came in,
or a dime.
and you could get lunch for 10 cents.
And I thought they paid us to eat back then. At least, I think I remember something about my spinach, if I ate all of that, I get it.
Most of it was about a penny in 1939, wasn't it?
Let me read this, this is the statute. If land which is classified as non-irrigable is later irrigated by the district before the owner of the land receives the water, he shall pay to the district an amount equal to the entire amount that would have been charged to the owner if the land had been originally classed as irrigable. Which leaves it very open-ended.
It leaves it for the board to decide. Doesn't give me, if it gave me direction, if it said then adjusted by, for inflation according to Bureau of Labor Statistics, such and such, then we wouldn't be having this conversation. I just do it. So you guys can, I talked this over to Phil, and I'm not sure why he's not here today, maybe it's okay. Would be that you could say that we're not gonna adjust for inflation, we are, and if you do, then it probably needs to be, have some basis.
Look at the case notes and see if there are any reported opinions on whether you adjust for interest or today's money value.
Is this, do we need to do this right now?
Look at the statute, read the statute, then look at the case notes. I didn't have to send them.
We have that one pending,
We have one
but that can wait till the January meeting.
Yes.
Which is which one?
We have one that is,
Mr.
how many?
Blackwell, 7,407 acres.
400 something.
Well, you have the larger one pending too.
Right, and we have the other bigger one, and then we have a gentleman in Fabens that also, how much is that, Jay?
My recommendation is,
It's a little over an acre,
I think it's closer to 2 acres.
2 acres?
Yes.
is no less than 2%, no more than 4%. I think those are very defendable numbers.
Times 7 years.
Well, each year it has to be adjusted and brought forward, it's a
Right.
separate calculation.
Right.
Well, I think Al needs to be commended for studying the problem. It's a hell of a knowledge little problem.
That's what,
Must you
a
quit
capital
naming-
recovery factor, whatever. It's got a,
What do the rest of the board think about it? It's a board decision. Basically, I guess the question is, do you think that we should be charging them for inflation on the money? Or should we be or are you looking at it according to the way that statute reads to me, which is open-ended, doesn't say what to do, but they were charged 40 years ago or 50 years ago a certain amount of money. Should we adjust that up to what it would be on if they bought it today, or should it be charged like it would have been before? Like, for instance, if you look at a person that was involved 50 years ago, $5 or whatever it was a huge amount of money, and he had to pay according to the charge. Today, $5 is nothing. But the people today are dealing in dollars that are already inflated. I don't know how to
Yeah, that's correct.
explain that very well. And so is it equitable to go back and charge for something that people weren't even there? I mean, the bills were paid according to what the money was worth at that time. I have a philosophical problem with this as well, so I'm trying to, I wonder what the rest of the board thinks.
yeah, I'm sorry, I let the board.
And I understand where you got it.
And all other contractual laws I work with, it's, if you say today you're paying something for something that happened in the past, you adjust it. Because everybody knows that $5 wasn't, you're talking about,
No,
you always say
I
$2014.
I understand that. but
So it is
I don't
the
know how to
same, in other words,
explain
if you adjust it for inflation, they're paying the same that they would have paid in 1939. You're treating them exactly, that's the default.
Well, you've got another concern. Since the statute is vague and difficult to interpret, you've got some discretion.
I think they do.
Okay, now, the next thing is, do we want a disincentive to discourage people from reclassifying their lands?
No, wait a minute, the water rights, this is a valuable asset, and we're trying to recover, to be fair to all the taxpayers,
Well, but-
recover their equivalent. To the extent
that. You were
that,
buying services back then, and the right to use water. You're buying a service that was provided. Now you're not, you're buying
the right to
service
receive
and-
water.
And the right to use the water.
It was more than a service, you were buying part of the debt of building the project.
Yeah, you were buying, you were
Paying for part of the debt.
Paying for part
And
of
you were and you were ensuring that you had a right to
use the
share
water, right.
in the water.
Right, so I think it's a fair, that's why the statute's there, I think it's fair to do that. I think it gives you the discretion to decide the time value of money. I think it's a significant difference in the revenue to the district and offsetting the taxes of the taxpayer.
You're wanting to get this stuff reclassified, and there's a benefit to the.
I would like to be 69,010 every day.
Right, I mean, that's a huge benefit to our district.
But at the same
And-
time, water rights are selling for $4,000 an
I
acre.
understand that. I understand the value of that, but that's water rights that you're gonna get from this point forward, not what you did.
You're not selling rights in this district.
I'll tell you what,
Well, rights to use.
You don't sell
understand
that?
what you're paying for here is that the rights that were never used, but if you go and lease it today, it's for paying for it from in perpetuity, that you get it from then on. I had a thought, now I lost it.
well, since we haven't thought about this for quite a few years, I'd be fine, there's nothing urgent.
That's why that was my question. Let's think about it.
Let's think about this, it's a complicated.
You know, I know what it was, Jim's comment. Do you want a disincentive for this to happen, or do you want to keep it what's fair under the statute? Because if it's a disincentive,
I understand.
it might, because we want it reclassed.
I'm a strong advocate, I think it's a balancing, that's why it's a board decision, it's a balancing of fiscal responsibilities to return under what you have discretion to do. At the same time, there's other benefits, such as making sure that those waters are used. So that's why it cannot be a staff decision, it has to be a board decision.
See, just what you said is 2%. Right, you use what we call that doubles the amount.
No, 2% brings it to, it's 1,043 today is the
Wait a
number,
minute,
with no interest, $1,043
2%
today.
brings it to
Today.
2,000.
No, at 2%, it brings it to 1,592.
4%.
4%.
4% it doubles.
Right, double.
And I'm recommending that I think that you should look at some, to be fair to all the taxpayers, you should look at some value, say 2%. I wouldn't recommend going above 4. Now let me point out one additional thing, which I think is a number that we don't want to use. It makes you feel better that this is not a compounded, this is not being treated like it's a savings account. In other words, that these numbers are adjusted and brought forward
No, you don't
just for
have to
that time, but it doesn't mean, if you were to take that money and invest it at 2%, the number is astronomical. It would prohibit any
You know, it's
conversion.
compounded.
Yeah, it'd be compounded, it'd
What
be about
does the
10,000.
rest of the board think? What do y'all think?
I'm not still clear on your own, Alan, figure that $900, that's just the straight numbers added up all the way back
There's
to
no adjustment for
1939.
the inflation.
Is that right, from 1939 to now, you added up all the numbers?
It says that a $1939
And
is
you came up with that number? Okay.
It says a $1939 equal to exactly the same as a $2014.
Yeah, because you're right, because if you took $5 and 74 years, and now we're at 2%, $21. But that's just the first year.
Yeah, and every, in 1939, it was $5, and in the 2014, it's $13, at 2%.
This gentleman that has
No.
2
Yes.
acres, have you described?
I'll go over the equation, what?
Yes, sir, we have. And
Oh,
it's
You have to
about
use a capital recovery factor,
Well,
got
you're
log
not
running,
doing $3,000.
exponents,
You're not doing the compound.
I'm sorry?
power
You used
function.
the
You're not
900.
doing compound,
I'm
correct?
sorry.
You used the 900 figure.
The $900 figure, that's the one for the 7,300s. The
Well,
other.
that was from 2006 was the rate well, it was not, I'm sorry, it was adjusted without inflation to 13.
Exactly,
It's
exactly.
1 year.
And the one we're talking about, the 2 acres plus, it was about $2,000. The one we're talking about, the 7,300s, it's a $970 some dollars.
That's
And
all.
that's according to the
discussed-
rate
My
going back.
question was, I want to know their reaction to the people that,
They want it for free.
Mr. Blackwell, he was
don't use
fine.
names. I don't
I'm sorry.
think we do.
He was fine. As far as the 2 acre parcel, they thought it was a little bit too much.
Say that again.
It was a bit too much.
The
It was a
the smaller portion,
The smaller one, he was fine. And
Yeah,
the
he-
2 acres plus, he thought it was a little bit
His
too much.
annual water bill,
well, I'm just asking, I understand where you're coming, you don't have to try to explain it to me. What I'm trying to understand is, are we being fair to these people, and is it gonna be a disincentive, because you're gonna raise, you're gonna increase it at least 50%, and maybe double it.
it is not a disincentive, it is money on the table. Right now, it is, I'm
Yeah, no,
telling you what I started with, that
that's
this is a difference of real income of, right now, of $200,000 to $500,000 to the district, that's very real. And that's not a
That's
disincentive
also-
issue. Believe me, I'm the one that makes sure there's no disincentive, so I'm an advocate of that. I'm saying that number is.
No, you're saying it's fair. Being fair doesn't necessarily mean it's not a disincentive.
It is not a disincentive on the transactions that are pending. In my opinion, they will occur at the whatever rate.
Is it gonna bring you, how much, let me ask you this quick. How much closer is it gonna bring you to the figure you need? To do the applications that are pending, or that are possible in the near future? Is that, how much closer?
40% of the pool, or whatever you call it.
Oh, to get that out of there, to get it back on track.
The ones that are pending are about 40% of what's possible.
That's not the answer.
There's 500 acres that haven't been assigned right now as their goal. And we have pending approximately 200 acres.
That's what I wanted to know.
That's 40%. And the difference at I'll do it at,
I'm not really interested in the amount of money. What I am interested in is it the proper way of doing it, and is it fair for everywhere, and will it accomplish the goal that we want to do? And I think, and that is with those people, having acres on the tax roll, because acres on the tax roll then is perpetual for everything.
Okay, well,
I don't know.
Let's table it for today, you guys think about it.
Well, I mean, and I'm not arguing, I'm just, because this is totally, I didn't
So
know this was coming up.
what figure did you come up with? The 900 and something, and then you.
Well, we'll compare our tables, there's slight differences. Right now, my table shows the accumulation from 39, and with no adjustment or inflation, as today, the bill would be $1,043. And at 2%, it would be $1,592. It's not that big of a
But
difference.
Dr. Blair, are we talking about just 1 year? The 1,000?
No,
Is
just,
that the total?
that's the total.
Let's go into closed session on this.
That's the issue that we started off with, we didn't know whether we.
Well, we don't know, but we'll do it anyway, I think, so we don't know whether
Well,
we
the
can.
lawyer can bring us into it, let him tell us.
Can we or can we not?
We want a closed session?
Right on that item.
It's a tax.
Well, you've got it on the agenda.
It's on the agenda to go and close, I didn't know whether.
You know, I don't know.
I don't know either.
It's not litigation, and it's not sale of property.
Yeah, it'd have to be, what is the language? Is it, discuss licensing, sale, purchase, exchange, lease, value of real property. It is sort of a value. And it definitely affects the value of real property.
Purchase and lease and value.
Well, on the property, Texas Government Code 55-1.072, under executive session, pursuant to that code, workman can conduct closed meeting, discuss the licensing, sale, purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property,
It's shown on the open meeting agenda.
and it's not shown in the proper places.
I think maybe the value of real property.
I'm okay
Opens
with
the
it.
door.
But it's shown under items 11 or 12, which is what that is.
That's what that's referring to. That's all of our,
So it looks to me like it's there.
Well, what he's doing is reading the statute though.
yeah, I'm just reading the
When
statute.
you're authorized to go in closed session.
So can we or can we not?
I can't make that decision because I don't have a license. I have an engineering license.
Did you hear that?
Well, the safest way is to stay in open session.
Okay.
What? Well, yeah,
Can-
why don't I send you guys out a copy? Why don't you requested the case law, I didn't do that. Let's get
And
the
there
case
is
law
no
and send it out and bring it
interpretation.
back next time.
There is no interpretive case law.
No.
At least we can find it on a quick review.
Yeah, let us do a more thorough review and bring it back to you in January. There's nothing urgent about it. There's no water to deliver.
I think that's the most prudent decision.
It won't make a difference to anybody that's right now, so.
The issue was that we do have the payment for the gentleman, the 7,300.
Well, and that may be a separate issue that we'll bring up and can be handled. There's other legal issues with that, but first we've got to get the rate set.
Okay, no action then.
All right, sorry. We thought it was gonna be a short meeting.
Well, I wasn't aware of it before, you know, maybe I should have been, but what I'm trying to think through, Al, and I understand your concern about the Lincoln District, which I am thrilled to, is the fairness and what are the total ramifications of the situation. I mean, we're talking about the things you're looking at right now. What about other things? And I need a little time to kind of
Sure.
consider, you know, are we gonna be sorry we did this? Because once you do it, you're gonna do it to everybody.
It has to be uniformly applied.
And that's what I'm saying. So I'm just trying to think, past today's situation as to what, if there is a potential problem out there. And any time you raise your price, it is a disincentive, whether it's a good disincentive or not, it is. It's just the nature of the beast. Is it fair? Probably is fair. Is it needed? I mean, y'all say it is. And I think I know where y'all are coming from, but I would like a little more time
Sure.
to consider it.
I understand.
And to visit with you guys about it.
Okay.
And y'all don't think we should go into closed session to do that, so let's just bring it back next month. Is that all right with y'all? I mean, if y'all feel like we should be, there's three of y'all and one of me, If y'all feel like we should go ahead and do it today, well, let's do it. All right. Number 12. Public Service Board with regard to leasing of the use and operation of the drains up there.
That's for the closed session?
Yeah, that one is definitely a close.
All right, well, we got 3 items in closed session.
My preference would be to have closed in here so we can use the screen.
Fine.
All right.